The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
This time on Nude Clan.
I can't believe the weapons fucking break, dude!
Player to another.
Turn on the TV, pick up the controller and play some games with the new clan.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nude Clan, the video game podcast that loves some Zelda Breath of the Wild, except for past host Caleb Craig.
Yeah, he didn't like it. Well, I guess he liked it, but he didn't like one of the mechanics in the game where you have to actually, think about stuff.
Play the game.
Yeah, item management.
But hey, he's not here to bitch, so we got A4 and we got Zach, and these two are going to review Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, guys, I thought about buying this game many times. I've heard great things about it. I just never did.
Yeah, that was the same boat I was in. But you should treat yourself. Honestly, it's fun. It's addicting is the problem
Actually,
too.
my second time buying the game. I owned it on Wii U at first because I didn't have a Switch when it came out.
Oh, I forgot it came out on Wii U. I never had a Wii U.
Yeah, so did everybody. Yeah, because everyone forgot about the Wii U.
No, I just wasn't. I was too much of a Sony fanboy at that point in my life to even think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's one of those ones that I slept on for a long time, and I'm really happy I went and decided to pick it up. And it was kind of an ordeal actually, because I was on the marketplace, and some lady was selling it for $40, $45.
Okay.
And I was like, 15, $20 off. That's not bad. Whatever. It's used. I don't care. As long as it works. So I message her on Facebook, and it's 11:30 at night. And I was like, hey, I'm interested in this game. When would be a good time to pick it up? And I'm like, obviously not tonight, but when would be a good time? And she goes, tomorrow, whenever you can. And I said, cool. So I'll message you in the morning, and we'll set something up. So then I proceed to stay up until 4 in the morning, and I go to sleep, and I wake up at 9:30. No, it's 10. I woke up 10. And I look at my phone, and I have 8 missed messages from this lady, starting at 6:30 up to 9. And it's oh, I thought you were gonna call and message me first thing in the morning to get this game. And I was like, bitch, I went to sleep 2 hours before you messaged me the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm and she's like, I have people that really want this game. People that are really messaging me to sell them this game. And I was like, I'm not interested anymore. I'll just go buy it new.
Yeah.
Fucking chill. I already told you I was going to buy the game. You can't even give me 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours after we talked at 11:40. You can't give me a little bit of time.
Yeah, that sounds a little ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why the fuck they do that. I mean, people are fucking crazy.
Right. And I feel it made me feel as well that she wasn't. The game might have been a fake, or it might have been broken, because I wasn't going to take my Switch and try it there. You know what I mean? It made me feel like she was kind of being dishonest about it, and she wanted to get rid of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it seemed desperate, and I was like, I'll just go buy it for $60 at Walmart. Fuck it, I'll give Nintendo and Walmart the money.
Yeah, that's a good approach to that kind of shit. That's craziness. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stupid fuck.
I know, dumb bitch.
Yeah. Well, I was going to play the trailer, but it's 4 minutes long, and I'm like, I don't want to watch a trailer.
It's a good trailer, though. Just do it. The first time in the series, fucking voice acting.
Is it the first time in the series? I mean, I heard.
Unless you count the fucking CDI games, but we don't talk about those.
Well, I mean, I remember Navi having a voice.
Hey,
no, like actual voice acting instead of just three little
Listen.
fucking voice lines that repeat endlessly.
Listen,
I mean,
fuck you.
There are voiced cutscenes in this game. They are
Yeah.
few and far between, but they exist.
Yeah, not you say few and far between, but like if you actively go out searching for the memories, you get cutscenes.
Oh yeah, all the memories are voice acted. Yeah, it's just
Also, so y'all know that I'm super serious about this podcast. Was looking for the trailer. I am going through Facebook dating, and it kind of bugs me that chicks are on here like, I'm baby on the way. like, yeah, you want to fuck me? I'm pregnant. And it's like, cool, like, yeah, like, whatever. But
Well-
it's like looking for father to my kid. And it's like, well, you had one. What happened to it?
yeah. Well, I mean, last episode I did say you always fuck the pregnant chick.
That's true. And I did say pregnant just can't get pregnant twice.
Exactly.
But,
So
like,
what are you talking about?
I don't know. It just kind of bugs me a little bit
All right, let's watch this trailer. You got it pulled up, Zach?
on my phone.
Yeah, man.
I can watch it through the screen.
Yeah.
can see it.
All right, let's dive in.
Open your eyes.
My eyes are open.
This game really is beautiful. Like,
Open your eyes.
it looks great.
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
Wake up, Link.
Well, shit. That is a pretty good trailer.
It was pretty intense, man. Like,
I know everyone sucks Zelda's dick all the time,
I would suck your dick.
but like they know what they have on their hands, and they really present it as like here is like a magnum opus, basically. Like
Well-
we know what we're gonna present it like it is.
Yeah, and it is a big departure from their normal formula.
It's a huge departure.
it's-
You're talking about a series that basically since Link to the Past has been kind of the exact same game every time, except
Right.
for like Majora's Mask. But it's a game series that is so rooted in tradition and so rooted in doing the same thing over and over again that for them to do this massive departure, which granted is a lot like other open world games, but for them to just knock it out of the park on their first try is insane.
Right. Agreed. It's one of those, I don't know, like I just really enjoy it. I do. It's just fun.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a 2017 action-adventure open-world game developed and published by Nintendo as both kind of the swan song for the Wii U console as well as a launch title for the new, at the time, Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It is a game that takes place in a ruined kingdom of Hyrule 100 years after a horrible calamity, literally Calamity Ganon, ravages the countryside and basically brings the kingdom to its knees. And you play as Link, who awakes from a 100-year slumber and is tasked with going and stopping Ganon once and for all from resurrecting himself and bringing evil to the land of Hyrule.
Right. Which, I mean, it's the same, what they've always done. You're Link, you're helping Zelda, you're beating Ganon. It's the same story, same formula.
More or less, but I don't
time.
know if we've ever played, like, I guess the closest you can come to is Ocarina, where, like, once you hit the time skip in Ocarina, and you go, Hyrule's fine when you're a kid, but then you skip ahead 7 years after pulling out the Master Sword, and everything is just fucked.
Yeah.
And Ganon won. But this game has done it on, like, such a massive fucking scale.
No, for sure. And like, I know you said you wouldn't, like, weren't interested in playing it, but as you play, like, Hyrule Warriors and stuff, like, it gives you such a grander scale as well, because, like, it shows them just fucking cities up.
Yeah,
Like,
it probably, like, fleshes out the whole... like, you get cutscenes like that in Breath of the Wild, where it shows, like, Ganon taking control of everything and just, like, ravaging the towns that are dotted throughout Hyrule. But, like, yeah, I can imagine Age of Calamity really expands on that in a way that is really cool. I'm not a big fan of the Dynasty Warriors.
And I understand that. It's like, and it's cool. Like, I like it, like, on the more, like, Grand War scale. But, I mean, we are talking about Breath of the Wild today. As well, I guess this year is the 35th anniversary for Legend of Zelda.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, happy birthday, Zelda. Yeah, so the story... what he said, the world's been destroyed. You wake up. Link wakes up in this like time thing, like I can't remember what they call it.
We steal him away in a cave.
Yeah. So there's this technology that the Sheikah tribe used, and it's like they have these things called like divine beasts, and they have like kind of like mechanic stuff. It's interesting. Like they mesh it together very, very well.
They dug underground and found these 4 massive creatures they called the Divine Beasts, which they were going to use to destroy Ganon, as well as these mechanical things called the Guardians, which are just basically like 6-legged spider robots straight out of a Studio Ghibli movie. But Calamity Ganon takes control of not only all the Guardians, but the Divine Beasts, and basically uses that to destroy Hyrule as they knew it. And Link and Zelda and basically the entire kingdom falls trying to stop Calamity Ganon.
Right.
So somehow Zelda has been holding Calamity Ganon at bay inside the castle for 100 years. And Link has just been
asleep,
sleeping it off, and wakes up.
Because he gets fucked up. Like he gets hurt really bad. And at this point, they've lost all their allies. Like the king's dead. The 4 like champions are trapped inside the beast they were supposed to use to win. And so at this point, like Zelda's last option is to like put him into this like coma and then have him heal while she holds him back. And so when you're Link, you have no idea what's happening. Like you kind of wake up and then you hear Zelda's voice in your head, and you're going to see like what's going on. And so as you're traveling in the first area, you meet this traveler who's kind of like telling you bits and pieces of the story of what's happening from his point of view.
Very, very reminiscent of the old man that gives you the sword from the very first Legend of Zelda that you just find in a cave.
Brillo, no, it's 100 years.
Yeah, it's 100 years.
It's 100 years in the future from that. So with that man, like he kind of gives you things to do throughout the map. So one of the mechanics in the game is your Sheikah Tablet, and it gives you things you can do like these cryo blocks to like jump on top of things. You have like a magnet where you can like do puzzles and stuff. There's bombs. What was the last one? Oh, you can like stop something. Like you can like lock it in place.
The Zelda series was known for having the formula of like go in dungeon, do some puzzling, get dungeon item, which is the solution for basically every puzzle in the dungeon after that, and is also probably the thing the boss is weak to. In this game, they give you 4 main runes that are basically just. One of them is a Zelda item in the sense that it's bombs, but for the first time, you can actually detonate them whenever you want instead of just having them on a timer. And then the other 3 are completely different. There's Cryonis, which lets you build ice blocks out of water. Magnesis, which lets you take metallic objects and move them at will. And Stasis, which lets you freeze an object in place. And then if you apply any force to it, like hitting it with a weapon a bunch of times, when it's removed from stop time, it will all that built-up force will activate on it. So, like, the most basic way you can use that is like freezing a boulder in place, hitting it a bunch with a steel mallet, and then when the time freezes over, it'll fly with all that built-up force. So it's a way to like.
It can also break if you do enough force on it. It can explode itself. Because I've had rocks break.
But they give you those 4, and that's like it for like major items. There's no like dungeon items in this game, like a hook shot or bows are their own weapon category in this game, so that doesn't count. But like bomb shoes, all that stuff is out the window this time. It's just these 4 things: the bombs, the ice thing, the magnesis, and the stasis, and they're so versatile that they're able to spread it out over the entirety of the adventure.
Right. So you have your tools on how to solve every Divine Beast puzzle, every shrine, like at the beginning of the game. Like you can do anything. From the
rest of the Zelda games, more or less, where they just sort of drip feed you items as you go through every dungeon.
And so when you get these runes, you kind of beat the first area of the game. Because you want to like you need a glider to like glide around and fly because you're up on this plateau. So they tell you, the old guy tells you like, hey, I'll give this to you if you do this for me, and what you have to do is those 4 runes for him. And once you get all of those and get ready to leave the area, he does reveal himself to be King Roam, the King of Hyrule and Zelda's dad.
Yeah, the former King of Hyrule. He's dead as shit.
Yeah, he's dead as shit. Does that. Tells you, basically just tells you, like, he's got, put his trust in you and you need to save Zelda.
He's like, hey, kingdom's fucked. Zelda's in the castle. We need you to go stop this shit. And then, like, you get, like, your mission objectives up at the top of the screen, like, in big text, like, for whatever quests you get. And as soon as you get done talking to him and you beat that first area of the game, it just pops up with this big thing that says main quest, destroy Ganon. And that's it. That's the game.
Yep. And it is. And the thing is, like, it's simple, but it's so good. And honestly, the way they did the beginning of Breath of the Wild reminded me a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where the first island you're on, like, is just the first part of the game, but, like, then you get the credits. Then you get, like, oh, you're playing Odyssey after you beat it.
Yeah.
Like,
now,
I like that. I think that's great.
I should mention, there is, like, a main story quest you can follow where it basically sort of leads you to all 4 divine beasts to tackle them, but that shit's completely fucking optional. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you're good enough at the game, you can just go straight to Hyrule Castle after you beat the Great Plateau and try to kill Ganon right away. There's nothing stopping you. I mean, there's a lot of shit stopping you, but...
Just gonna say, dude, there's a shit ton of Guardians.
There's a lot of shit stopping you, but if you're good enough, you can overcome it and just beat the game in a couple hours.
Have you ever...
It's so open-ended in that sense, which is so weird for Zelda, which, like, the Zelda games are known for being, like, open, but they're really not. They're pretty linear, all things considered. You have to go and do shit in pretty much every other Zelda game in order to beat the game. Like, most games since Link to the Past on are like, collect a few treasures, get Master Sword or do other thing, and then collect like 5 or 6 more treasures and then beat final boss. But this one just throws that completely out the window and just completely opens the entire game up to you right away.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, it's like you don't even have to have the Master Sword. Like, that's the thing, is like, if you want to do it, you have to grind to get the Master Sword. You have to do shrines to get hearts to, like, get that.
Yeah, you'll get the true ending if you do it, and it'll make things a lot easier, but you straight up don't have to do that at all.
What was the true ending? Is it just everyone? I guess I never... What? I didn't... Is there multiple endings in that game?
I think there's just like an ending, and then the true ending is if you get all of the memories.
Oh, okay.
Includes one of those. So
I mean, that makes sense, but I guess I just never looked it up to see what that was.
I mean, I got all the memories the first time I beat it. So.
And I did as well. With this time when I went in, I did go and get all the memories because I wanted the story, and it was fun. I didn't do all the Korok seeds because I'm not a sadist.
Well, there's like 900 of them. Also, did you ever see like the reward you get for beating it?
Is it nothing?
If you get all the Korok seeds, Hestu, the big Korok guy who gives you the inventory upgrades, he's like, oh, you got all the Korok seeds. Let me give you a special treasure. It's literally a golden turd.
What a dick.
Yeah, seriously. So you go around the entire map getting all like 900 Korok seeds, and it's like, oh, a golden poop that literally does nothing. Sweet.
Oh, so it's a Digimon? It's that Digimon.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. What's that Digimon's name?
Shitmon.
Suckamon, right?
Suckamon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right.
But it is such a huge departure from the Zelda series that, like, again, other games do this shit. Like, I guess technically, like, Fallout or Elder Scrolls or Conan kind of does this in the sense that it's like a big open world game where you can kind of just tackle anything in order,
right.
And it's mostly optional. But again, for Nintendo to just do this for the first time and have it be like that good right away is insane. Because they don't normally make games like this at all.
Yeah. Well,
especially in the Zelda series.
No, agreed. Because Zelda, they usually play it safe because they know it works. They know it sells. And they know how big of a series it is. But some of you guys listening might be asking, well, if you can just boss rush down to Ganon, why even do anything else? And I'm going to tell you, it's
hard as shit if you don't.
True, it is. If you beat all the Divine Beasts and go straight to Ganon, then he loses like a third of his health. Yeah, it goes like way down. But as well as when you free one of the champions from the Guardian, you get stuff. So like if you free Mifa, who's like the fish one, you get like 3 chances to like, if you go down to 0 like hearts, you get revived with full hearts. Plus 4 extra.
They give you all the champions when you beat their dungeon. They give you a special ability that can help out a lot. You can get like an overshield, or it's like maybe hers is once. Sorry, it revives you once. The Goron one is like you get three unlimited blocks. So if they hit you, you get this guy's shield, and it counts as an auto block, and it can like stagger him. So like when I was fighting Ganon, I had that like come back up as I was fighting, so like he hit me 3 times and it fucked him up so that I could like get his health down. The Gerudo chick, I actually never figured how to do hers. But you throw lightning down. Oh,
and then
the bird gives you like a super jump.
Yeah, you get like a super jump with you. You like make like a gale wind, you can fly around to get higher.
Which paired with the sailcloth is like super good.
Yeah, so it's you want to do it. It does help a lot, and I did grind out so I could get the Master Sword, because the Master Sword is like does more damage to like the Ganon and like all those other ones. But as well, if you don't do the beasts, you have to do a boss rush to fight Ganon. You fight the 4 Ganon Blights all at the same time. But as like if you do the Divine Beast separately, you fight them one at a time. So there's like 5 like pushed out bosses through the whole game.
Okay.
Instead of a boss rush at the beginning.
You're doing a boss rush of all the bosses you would have fought on top of having Ganon with a full health bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
What it means by like grinding for the Master Sword is like in this game, there are no pieces of heart or heart containers like there normally are in Zelda. Instead, there's about 120 shrines dotted throughout the entire kingdom, and those are basically like. If there's one knock I can give to this game, it's that the main 4 dungeons aren't very good. They're very unremarkable, and they all look the same, and they're not themed in any way. But they do have these shrines spread throughout the entire land, and each of those is basically its own little puzzle that you have to figure out. Some are big, some are small, but if you beat one, you get a spirit orb, and if you get 4 spirit orbs, you can go to a goddess statue that are spread throughout the game in certain towns, and that'll either let you upgrade your health or your stamina, and you need to upgrade your health up to a certain level
13
to get the Master Sword, which is probably the coolest fucking thing in this entire game. Is like when you find the Master Sword in the Lost Woods, it's not like in a big temple or anything. it's just in the woods on like a pedestal,
Well, like-
completely fucking it's in a special location, but like it's kind of nondescript. So when you
Yeah.
stumble upon it, you're like, oh shit, it's the Master Sword,
and, like-
and it like uses up your hearts as you're trying to pull it out of the pedestal. So you have to have a certain level of hearts to even wield it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And getting there is fun too because like as you go, like if you veer off course, it's kind of like a little maze. But there's like no walls, like you're just going and you're just like trying to follow whatever it is. If you get off
it's like
course,
this
it
foggy
teleports
woods.
you back to the beginning to
Yeah.
get there. So like
It feels very classic Zelda in like they actually used old like when they did like internal testing for this game at first, they actually did use like old Legend of Zelda NES graphics and then just kind of rejiggered them into a system where you could like chop down trees and use them as logs to cross rivers and stuff in like an 8-bit style. But that's how they sort of like figured out how they wanted the systems to work in this. So it really does have the feel of like the older, way more open-ended Zelda games, like the original, where I know the original Zelda is still kind of linear in a sense, but it kind of has that sense of freedom where it's like, all right, you can go anywhere, and if you die, it's probably because you walked into a place where there's really tough enemies that you technically could beat right now, but you know, it's
well,
gonna
the
be
thing
really
with
difficult.
the enemy system in this game too is the more you beat, the harder they get. So you'll start getting different
true.
colored mogoblins and stuff like that. And as you beat them higher, beat them like go higher and higher. You eventually get these ones that are just like insane. So like I'm not gonna say punishes, but like it learns. It learns from how you play and how many people. They're like, oh, that's too easy. Let's amp it up. Let's go. But
Well,
so
they, like they don't really roadblock you anywhere.
right.
Where like Ocarina of Time, like once you get out in the open world, you can go to like a few different places, but there's certain parts that'll just be locked out to you until you do stuff. Like I don't think you can go up the Death Mountain until you do a few certain things.
well,
trying to think of
not
other
certain
games here.
things. You have to have the armor to be able to withstand the heat.
Well, it's not even that. No, I mean, like even as Kid Link, before you get the
Oh, you're talking about? Sorry. I see.
yeah, before you get like the tunics that let you survive like fire and water. I mean, like they just don't let you go somewhere because it's not part of the story yet.
Right.
I think Twilight Princess was really bad for that. Maybe possibly even Skyward Sword, but it's been a decade since I played that one, so I can't remember.
Yeah, so this one actually, that is a good point. You can do any of the Divine Beasts at any time. You can just boss rush Ganon at any time. You can just go straight to whatever you want to do. But so
Very-
I want to do
like-
the story, so I want to.
Story's kind of nothing. It's just kill Ganon, and on the way you're just sort of helping the four champions and their divine beasts and the sort of individual races that they represent.
Right.
The Gorons, the Zora, the Gerudos, and I forget what the bird people
And the
are
bird people and the bird persons.
Debates.
So yeah, like it is a very simplified story, and as you go along, you kind of like you learn more. You get your memories back as you go along. You learn like why these people meant something to you, why they didn't, because the bird dude's a dick. You learn these things about these people, and then you have this like your tablet, and you go along and you take pictures of certain areas, and it unlocks a memory with Link, so you can see what happened up to that point. So you kind of get the story pieced together about what's going on, how Zelda couldn't like use her full power that was passed down to her, and so you're trying to go with her to like help her figure this out because you're her knight, and so she's trying to figure it out, and they're like, no, her dad's like, you have to figure this out, or you're not going to stop Ganon. And she doesn't figure it out, and then before Ganon attacks, and it just fucks everything up. All the champions get sealed away inside their beasts. He takes over all the mechanics and stuff, and like Ganon just destroys Hyrule. And so then, as you go, you save the people if you play the whole story, and you free their spirits, and they give you like powers to help you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, like it's less about the overall story. It's less about the destination and more about the journey. It's really more about your individual little stories as you go exploring this just humongous fucking map. It's insane. Like I remember the first time I played it, I got off the Great Plateau, which is huge in and of itself.
Yeah,
It's like
the first area is massive.
big area that's like got a field, like a little lake, a snowy mountain area with like a river, and you're like, damn, that's huge. And then you get off of there and it's like, all right, now go to Kakariko Village. And like the distance Kakariko Village is, like in relation to where the Great Plateau is and how big it is, you're like, oh my god, this map is fucking huge.
It is. It's
I don't know
massive.
if it's like Red Dead 2's or something, but it's big.
It is big.
Bigger than any Zelda map has any right to be.
No, it's true.
And it doesn't like point anything out to you. What it does compared to like say a Ubisoft game where you climb a tower in a Ubisoft game and you unlock a chunk of the map and it just puts all the little waypoints.
Oh, you're talking about Assassin's Creed, huh?
Where to go. This one, you get to the top of the tower and it unlocks the map, which shows you like all of the topography of like where everything is, like mountains and rivers and shit. But then like they're just like, all right, you're up here. Use your scope and just put waypoints where you see cool shit, and then go there.
So yeah, you have to follow the map yourself. You have to find where the shrines are.
The shrines and any other towers or any other points of interest that you see, where you just look down and you're like, there's an enemy encampment. There's a cool thing that looks like a ruined little building. And it just sort of like lets you feel that stuff out and work out what you want to go do on your own instead of being like, here's the side quest, here's the side quest, here's a mini game, here's this, here's that. It's just a really interesting way of doing it that I don't even think a lot of games do.
Yeah.
Even if this game got so successful and came out, like
you really get what you put into this game. Like if you want like a full like hardcore experience with it, that's up to you because you don't have to have that. You can just go and do whatever you want.
You could beeline the story, or you could just go straight to Hyrule Castle. But if you want to really explore this world, unlock the entire map, and just find like every notable point of interest, it'll take you a good long time.
And that's what I wanted to do, was unlock the map. So I wanted to unlock the full map.
Yeah.
I took all the Divine Beasts out. I wanted to get the Master Sword, so I did like the shrines to get it and give me some stamina up. The cool thing with like the puzzles and stuff, like, I guess that goes into gameplay. Never mind. We'll go back to that.
Yeah, before we dive in too far into this, what are you guys going to give the story?
Story-wise? So I don't know. It's kind of hard because like it is a pretty simple story, where the game's more about like how much you put into it to play.
Yeah, I mean, simple's not bad. Simple as long as it works.
I'd say like a 7.
See, I'm going to give it a 9. I really enjoyed the story in this, and as much as I say like it was simple, I did have fun, and I really, really liked it. I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have put as much time into it as I did.
Yeah, for sure. What's your reason for a 7, A4?
Because the story's not really the main focus. Like, it's a decent story, and it's not often we get to see, like, a Zelda game where the bad guy has just completely won, and you're kind of trying to fight back against that. Ocarina of Time kind of did that. I'm trying to think of other ones that sort of did that, and I'm blanking. So, it's definitely a bit of a different take for this franchise, but again, it's not really the main focus. Like, the gameplay is king here. Story just sort of takes a back seat and sort of gives context for why you want to explore this giant world.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the gameplay real quick then. All right, so, yeah, gameplay. How does this thing play? I know you guys have kind of dug into it a little bit with story just because of how interactive of a game this is. But what does it play like? Like, describe to me what Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is. I mean, it's obviously an open world game, lots of exploration, but give us more deets.
The needs.
It's an open world game, and that's kind of it. Again, they don't really like tell you where to go. I mean, they do, but like you don't have to follow that. Like it's very open ended. It's very free flowing. They kind of just expect you to find interesting things in the distance and just go there and explore. And on top of that, you know, you have like your weapon systems between picking up melee weapons, bows, and shields. Mm-hmm. And there's like crafting where you can make recipes and sort of craft different things. But that's like, it's hard to describe. Like, there's a lot of games that do stuff like this, but the way that the way that it's executed in here is so stripped down in direction that you can kind of make it your own thing, right?
Yeah. So I guess gameplay, like, we can talk more about like the mechanics and stuff too. Whereas like it's kind of a normal Legend of Zelda game that way, where you know, got your sword, got your shield, you're fighting. The bow isn't like an extra like, you know, like thing you find. Like you can just get him in the beginning of the game, and you can take people out. One of the mechanics with weapons that former host Craig doesn't like is they do have limits where they break, and when they break, they just poof and they're gone. So like in the beginning of the game, the first weapons you get are like sticks. Like you find a stick on the ground,
Literal
or,
twigs.
Yeah, twigs. Or you find like an axe embedded in something in the beginning, or like rusted like claymores or rusted swords, because this is like where like a big battle took place, and so you find these weapons and use them against the bokoblins. And they have like clubs and stuff in the first areas. And as you go, like they get more, more stuff. So as you go on in the game, the weapons tier up and get better. Whereas like you go from like a wooden like bow, like a wooden is like a stick with a string, to like these like iron metal bows that the soldiers used, or like Ganon's forces use. And it's like it has a higher rate, a higher like number as to where it'll break. And so one of the things that like we've talked about with Craig and our other friend Branny is they didn't like that. They didn't like that they broke. They didn't like how you had to like find other weapons to use.
Yeah.
Whereas like honestly, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed having the fact where sometimes it was just me and nothing because my weapons broke by fighting higher tier enemies.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, when him and I played that Dead Island game a lot, he was freaking out about that back then too. But that one, like that one's the same way. But not really, though, because like you'll get like a pistol, and then later on you'll find a fucking ore for a boat, and the boat's ore will be like stronger than the pistol, and it's because it's an RPG and it needs to like scale up, or else you're never going to be able to fucking beat these things later on. And you just be like, dude, this game's bullshit. This ore is like stronger than the fucking machine gun that I just had. And it's like, well, Craig, I mean, come on, it's an RPG. And then it breaks on you too, and he would always get pissed at that. And it's like. I don't know.
I understand.
To me, I get it. It's frustrating, but I don't know. It's part of the game. I mean, it's part of the difficulty.
Exactly. Challenge where you might be in a situation that isn't immediately solvable because you just forgot to pick up more melee weapons, and you're just kind of SOL.
And there was times when
really
I did
causes
run
you
out
to think
of
on your toes in that sense.
And it didn't really bother me because like I came from like playing like Bloodborne and like Dark Souls, where like your weapon's dull. Like, your weapons can break in Bloodborne, and you don't lose it, but it only does 1 damage.
Yeah, it becomes shit.
Like, I don't know if I ever told you, I had that happen during a boss fight. Like, I didn't, like, get anything fixed, and I broke my weapon, like, mid-boss fight. And I was like, sick. I'm doing, like, 1 damage.
Yeah.
It sucks. But, I mean, like, at the same time, like, it's a fun memory, because I did end up being the boss. Like, and even now with Zelda, like, yeah, I had weapons break while fighting enemies, and it freaks you the fuck out for a second, especially in bosses. Where you're like shit, and you're like struggling to find something.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it honestly punishes you for not preparing, though, is what it mostly sounds like.
I gotta say this right. I liked it because it also kind of reminded me of the system in Resident Evil, where you have to like have your management. So like for these weapons, like some areas, like if you needed to start a fire or something, I would like drop a sword or something and pick up a stick. Or a torch, which did take an inventory slot to like light stuff on fire for puzzles.
Okay.
So like you had to manage your inventory. You actively had to do that with bows and everything and arrows to make sure you had everything you could do.
Yeah, what you needed. Yeah.
Right. And like it's kind of got the Pokemon system too, where things are weak to each other. So like the arrows, you get like normal, bomb, fire, lightning, and ice. And so like each thing has like its own weakness, which is kind of cool. Like talking about gameplay.
There's also the fact that like weapons are so all over the place, like they're everywhere. So even if they do break, it's not like you're not going to be able to find replacements. They might not be as good as what you had, but that's part of the challenge. It's sort of like if you manage to luck out and find a really good weapon like a Traveler's Claymore compared to a fucking tree branch or a Bokoblin arm, which breaks really fucking easy, then yeah.
So like talking about the Bokoblins at night, you get these bigger like they're like Bokoblins or like these big ass ones. I can't remember what they're called. They're like just like big like kind of golem looking things. Yeah. And so when you fight them, they're like skeletons. Skeletons have like one thing where you hit them and they'll explode, and you have to like break the head or they can regenerate. But one of the weapons you get is their arms, and so you can like swing them at people.
Oh, nice. That's funny.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So like you have that, and then like other weapons, like there's stuff for range. Like you can get these swords that are like boomerangs. So you throw them, and you have to like actively press A to catch it when it comes back, but it like spins around. Or you can like just throw your sword at something while it's running away, and it'll break your sword, but it does like a shit ton of damage because you tossed it at it.
Nice. You know what other game lets you use body parts as weapons?
God damn
Gee, I
it.
don't know what.
Conan Exiles. Just saying.
Just saying.
There's also, it's just the fact that like this game has so many different like physics systems that just exist
Yep.
in the background at all times. Like if you don't have any weapons, but the enemies don't know you're there, and there's a metal object near them that you can pick up, you could just use magnesis to pick that like metal box up and just drop it on them from a tall height, and they'll just die.
Yeah, it'll kill
because
them.
they had a heavy object fall on them.
Or if you
I've
have the
dropped-
bomb, you can just throw a bomb and then it just explodes.
Or like there's a great moment right near the beginning of the game where they have you basically set up to just push a big boulder down a hill,
Yeah.
and you could just kill a couple of bokoblins like that by just rolling a boulder into them.
Yeah.
There's been at least one shrine where I dropped a heavy metal object on myself by accident trying to solve a puzzle, and I died in the process.
See, like with that, that's one of the. Sorry, man, I keep in your foot. One of the best like things about this game is like it doesn't stop you solving puzzles. You can solve it any way. There's multiple ways to solve puzzles. There's
a
multiple
lot of
ways to like
different-
take care of enemies. It's just
Yeah.
it's your imagination really, and it's great. It's fun to solve something in a stupid way. Like there's a part. I almost said a scene. There's a part when you're going onto the mountain with the Gorons, and like you can't be seen. So I just went through and used magnesis on all the blocks, and I just smashed in these like little helicopter things, like just because it was fun. And I did like, oh, I'm not gonna sneak. Fuck these guys. I just broke them.
Yeah.
And it's like sick because you don't have to do that. You can sneak the whole way. You can stop them like actually fighting them with like weapons and stuff. Like you can do whatever. And it opens
One
it
of
up
the,
to like, just so everyone's gameplay is kind of different because you can decide what you do. You can decide where you go in the story. It doesn't matter.
One of the towers, I think, is surrounded by like this brown goop. It's like a mud or something that hurts you when you're in it.
Yep.
Or it causes you to instantly drown. One of the ways I think you can get around it is there's like metallic objects at the bottom that you can pull up with magnesis and use to form like a bridge. Or what I did is I lit the grass around it on fire and then used the updraft that fire caused to jump up and like use my sailcloth to soar above and then grab onto the like have enough altitude to glide down and grab onto the tower anyway.
Yeah, see, that's super cool. You can get to
It's
it in
super
multiple ways.
versatile.
I saw some pretty intense climbing that reminded me of another game as well. But
Here's the difference, though, because the climbing in Conan Exiles just decides sometimes because of the geometry that you're not climbing, whereas I've never slipped in Breath of the Wild unless it was raining. And
Yeah.
you're supposed to.
it looked in the trailer I was watching. It looked like you could climb quite a bit. Is that the case
Yes.
in this thing?
You can climb virtually anything in this game.
What stopped you for some things is how much stamina you have, because your stamina can run out and you will fall.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's kind of punishing you for like, not having.
Yeah. That reminds me of. No, I'm just kidding.
And
It's very
A4's
much
right.
like Conan Exiles in that way, yes.
Yeah, the rain makes it so you like can't do shit. If it's raining, like you'll be climbing, you'll just keep sliding down. It sucks. It's fun. But
Made me
it
wish I
sucks.
was still playing Death Stranding and I could just put a ladder somewhere so I didn't have to deal with the rain.
Huh.
I'll show you weather. And then the rain doesn't make you an old man in this game too, I assume.
Yeah.
well.
Well, in real life, it makes me an old man because I don't have patience climbing in the rain in this game. But
Yeah, so you
that's a
sit
whole
and
other-
wait somewhere. Oh shit, what was I gonna say?
But you can't make beer with the rain in this game, so it's not as good.
Yeah.
So one of the other gameplay mechanics is every like I never figured out like when it was, but every once in a while in the game you'll see like a red moon and it revives every enemy that you beat.
Oh wow.
Yeah, enemies
because
will
Ganon-
stay dead
Yeah.
until the blood moon occurs, and then they'll all respawn.
Jesus, thanks for the
Thanks,
sub.
French philosopher.
Scared me
Damn,
there.
thanks, French.
I saw you jump a little bit. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. So like you can go back to areas, and then it helps with like leveling. Like you don't really level up. And there's a hidden level system in this game, and now it goes back to what I was talking about. How when you fight the enemies, they come in different tiers and different waves, like different colors, and they get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's like a hidden thing they put in there, where like you don't actively get a level, but they are higher level.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about like Zelda that does make it RPG-ish, and it's like, well, people have said before, you don't really have like health and like experience and things in the same way that you would in normal RPGs, but it's like you do pick up more health, and then enemies do more damage when you have more health. So it's like all the same shit. It's just a different presentation of it.
Right.
Well,
That's
in
how I've
this
always
one,
felt.
the weapons do have like hard stats. Even your bow has like different stats depending on
Okay.
which one you have.
Yeah.
So this one's definitely more of an RPG than the other ones were, for sure.
Okay.
Not if you
Yeah.
talk to a couple of our
Except for Zelda 2, apparently, is like pure RPG. But
That one's like a weird action RPG, yeah. But
like-
this one for sure leans into it harder than, say, Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess.
Right.
okay.
Thomas, like, I'm gonna go back real quick to like how you can like beat things like whatever way, like figure puzzles out. One of the divine beasts is this giant like bird kind of thing, and so what you're supposed to do, and I didn't figure this out till the end, is you have like your Sheikah slate, so you can like hack into him kind of, and you
Okay.
can make him like move around. So like for this one, it like tilts. And so you're supposed to be able to fly and like jump down and like get into where its wing is to like figure out the puzzle. And so I didn't know that was what I was supposed to do. So as I'm running around, there's like, because it's flying around, there's like little air pockets and stuff. And I was like, in my head, I was like, if I jump at this angle and like use my thing, like jump higher up, I can probably fly into the other end. And that's exactly what I did. I jumped off and I just like used the curve of the bird as it was flying, and I like flew into where I was supposed to go.
Nice.
Which wasn't how you were supposed to beat it, but it was cool that they gave you the option. And so like it made it, and then I found like that next time I figured out that like it does move. So like I was like, oh, okay, I can.
It's the kind of game that is very built to be exploitable, where like if you happen to find a way to cheese something, it's not like the devs are going to stop you from doing it.
No, and the proof of that is there's YouTube videos where people are doing some badass kills with just the physics of the area and their different like runes and weapons and stuff. It's rad.
Yeah.
They do give you an option weapon wise. They're called like they're like these ancient arrows, so they're like the same technology as like the divine beasts and stuff.
Okay.
But it takes an enemy away completely. Like you hit them and it just like sucks them into a black hole and they're gone.
Ancient
wow.
arrows are basically
Oh,
like a
yeah.
one-hit KO for almost everything
But
in the entire game.
you don't get any experience points from that.
Okay, so it's like you
can
something to
use
do
it.
before you die kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you'd have to.
Yeah.
If you got to take out a guardian and you're not good enough at parrying their laser beam with your shield,
Fuck that
then
game.
yeah.
I didn't figure out how to parry until I was fighting Ganon.
The timing is hard, but when you get it, it's the best shit ever.
All right, I'm gonna tell you my story, and I'm really sad that I wasn't recording because it was beautiful. So Ganon has 3 phases. The second phase is like easy to cheese because you get a bow and you like find this like monster version of him, and it's like you're helping Zelda. But so like first half, like you get him knocked down, he's like a spider kind of thing. And the second half, he gets like the shield, so you can't really hurt him unless you like parry back at him or like figure it out. And so like I kind of like was freaking out because I didn't know what I wasn't doing any damage. And he ended up coming at me 3 times, like jumping down, and my shield that the Goron dude gave you came back. So he hit me, and it breaks the shield, and it staggers him. So like his shield goes off. So I got the Master Sword, which does a shit ton of damage, and got him. Did it 3 times, and I got him down to like minimal health, like nothing. And so then at this point, he beat the fuck out of me too. So I had a heart and a half left, and I had no food to regenerate myself. And that's how you regenerate his food. I have to get like your health back.
That's
Okay.
the funniest bit too. Is you could be falling, you could be ragdolling down a mountain and taking damage along the way, and just shove a bunch of food in your mouth on the pause screen and be totally fine.
So yeah, Brulo A4, shut your fucking mouths. The thing with the timing is I forgot about it because I did it in one thing, and I just kind of like did it to like get past like the fighting the Guardian, and then I never thought about it again. So I was getting my ass kicked by Guardians the entire time. But so this last fight, right, Garen's got a little bit of health left, and I was like kind of messing around because he shoots this like beam out, and I was like, fuck, I'm like, I figured out, okay, I'm like, I have to shoot it back in, and that's what this is. And so I'm like messing with buttons, and then I pressed it right, and Link gets his shield, and he like did the thing, and I was like, oh shit, that's it. And so then Ganon gets up and he throws his spear at me, and like last second, dude, I fucking hit it back with his health and just took him out. And I felt like a badass. It was so great. I was like, fuck yeah! And just, oh, dude, it was great. I wish I was recording because it was just sick.
Yeah, that sounds like Dark Souls 1. I didn't learn how to parry until the final boss, and then I
Again,
learned.
the Switch does have a recording system. If you hold
I didn't know that.
the capture button now, it lets you record like the last 30 or so seconds.
Yeah, so I felt pretty cool because I was like, I learned to parry like right at the best moment, hit his shield or sword, his spear back at him, took him out.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a great feeling. But yeah, so gameplay mechanics, it gives you everything you need. Like to beat anything in the game, which I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
Like straight up first area,
Like,
and it's how
again,
you implement it, and that's what was fun.
it's not doing a whole lot different than a lot of other open world games do in this sense. There are a lot of similarities to Conan Exiles, honestly, except for maybe like the building shit. But it's, and maybe I'm giving it a bigger, like, maybe I'm sucking its dick more because it's Zelda. But again, I think it needs to be said that the fact that Nintendo knocked this out of the park on their first try is really worth something, because they really, like, I can't think of another Nintendo made game that plays in this style and nails it so hard, especially like kind of stripping away all the hand holding and really just like letting you figure out what you want to do. And also just sort of having all these ambient systems existing like constantly. Like the first time you're walking through a thunderstorm and you get struck by lightning because you happen to have a metal sword on your back, and you're like, oh, that matters? Like, it sucks, but it's also like, oh shit, they thought of like everything.
So you can throw that into like the fire area too. All of your wood, like whether it's a wood bow, a stick, a torch, whatever,
Your dick.
your dick will light on fire, and they'll end up like breaking.
Oh, wow. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you're like in an area, you're like, ah, shit.
Well, you even discover it like when you first get down to like the first campfire that the old man is around, where it's like if you drop an apple next to the campfire, it will turn into a baked apple just by being near the heat.
Yeah, so
Or when you go into the snowy area in the Great Plateau and you find out that holding a torch that's on fire helps keep you slightly more warm than if you weren't doing that at all. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can say the same thing with the Gerudo area. You can't travel in the day unless you have a certain clothes on, or you'll overheat and lose your health. But if you travel at night, because the desert gets cold in real life, you put on like a tunic that keeps you a little bit warm, and you can travel at night without getting any of the repercussions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. They thought of like a lot of shit, and it's great.
It feels like a weirdly a survival game.
Yeah.
Again, it's weird for Zelda to be doing that of all franchises, but it fits because it's about exploring the wilderness. That was kind of the whole impetus of this franchise existing in the first place, where it was just Miyamoto being like, I went to a cave and I took a torch and I explored. I don't know why.
I turned Russian, bro. What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to do a Japanese accent.
It's one of those Japanase Russians.
Yeah.
I took a candle to a cave and I explored it. So that is how I came up with the Legend of Zelda.
That is pretty much what it is.
So gameplay, I'm going to give it 10.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved
10.
it. It was fun. I didn't have anything I didn't like about it, except for figuring out how to parry at the end, because I'm not good at RPGs because I just X through everything. Or it's like, oh, that's how you do this. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not reading.
Yeah.
I'm not reading 3 pages of bullshit, and then I suffer for it later. 10, hands down.
10 for me too. It's like talking about this game or talking about this game with Zach and thinking about the game as I was like getting ready for the lead up to this review made me want to play it again. So that's why I bought it again, because it's like I gotta play this again. I gotta double dip. It's so good because I owned this on Wii U when it came out. I didn't have a Switch, but then I'm like, I have a Switch now. Fuck it, I'll buy it again because it's just that good.
Damn,
It's worth it.
The gameplay was the like 100% main draw for that. This game is all about the gameplay.
Fuck, I might have to get it then. This is sounding pretty good.
As much as you like Conan, I think you'd really like it.
I really do.
Minus the building shit and minus the slavery, like it's good.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of similarities in that.
Yeah,
sense.
you can't get any thralls, but
I suppose I could maybe overlook it for 40 or so hours.
You could at least imagine putting Mifa in chains. I mean, nothing is stopping you from doing that.
Well, that's good.
She's a hot fish lady.
She's the hot fish lady. Yeah.
Does she have a fish mouth, fish body?
Yeah, she's Gushin for Link. I mean, literally every female in all of these games are Gushin for Link, but
Except for the Gerudo lady.
Well, because I imagine Zach is Gushin for her. I know that the tall lady from Resident Evil 8 is just a thing.
Bro, don't
like,
even get me started, man. I would
a few
let
years
I would
prior,
let
we had Gerudo chicks.
fuck, dude. I would let the chick from Resident Evil 8 do terrible, terrible things to me.
Yeah.
Like
Stab the
unspeakable,
stomach with her fucking Wolverine
unspeakable, terrible things to me. Things that would get me barred from heaven.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're not going there anyways. So
I know I'm Mexican. I can't.
I don't think you need to worry about it.
Yeah.
God, now I'm horny.
And it's not because of anything you've done; it's because you're Mexican.
I know. That's why I just said. But yeah, so gameplay 100% great. What's our next one? Sound or gameplay?
Sound and music.
So sound and music. I mean, it's a Zelda game, man. Like the music
Should be noted. First Zelda game to actually have like voice cutscenes. Again, if you don't count like the Wand of Gamelon or the Faces of Evil, the shitty CDI games that were animated by Russians. But on top of that, the soundtrack in this is just like really subdued. It's really subtle. It's just a lot of very, very quiet, like just sort of understated piano strings. And there's not a lot of like big music in here. It's very, very, again, it's subdued, it's quiet, it's subtle, mostly piano, and it's beautiful. It kind of fits in a weird way.
Yeah, I would agree. I did enjoy the music, but man, the voice acting was great. And that's kind of like the draw for me for a lot of games that do like the voice acting is I really do enjoy the voice acting. I couldn't tell you who did who, but like Zelda's voice is great. It's
probably also the cutest Zelda's ever been. Honestly, she's a huge fucking dork, and I love it.
She's just adorable. Like Zelda just made Zelda adorable. It was great.
Like Zelda girls are always like 10 out of 10 for being cute, but like Zelda in this one, like that cutscene where she bends over and shows her big fucking princess ass and picks up she's like, look, a grasshopper, and it's just like, ah, you're like a weird ichthyologist. This is cute.
Yeah. So like, you know what? I give the music. I wish there was more of a grander scale for music, to be honest. Whether it was saying, because like I do really enjoy a good, like.
I think the music in this game, when it needs to hit, it really does during like big boss battles, but it's subdued everywhere else, which is where it needs to be. Kind of reminds me of like the sound again, another Conan parallel, the soundtrack to Conan, which is very much not there a lot of the time, but when it does hit, it's like, ooh,
yeah,
that's the good shit.
Yeah, when it hits, you got to hold your dick and make the cum go back.
Yeah, exactly. I'd straight up give Sound of Music in this a 9. I think it's really well done.
I will mirror that and do a 9 as well.
You're basically just missing the big overworld theme, but I almost don't feel like it would fit in this game.
No, and you're right. But I mean, I'm a sucker for those big instrumental, like orchestrative, just like, you know.
Well, the Zelda theme is just one of the most iconic songs of all time in video games.
No, 100%. And like going back to like what we've been playing, like the last episode, is I've been playing Tales of Berseria, and like, God, fuck, that music is so good.
Yeah.
So good and orchestrative. And like, yeah, agreed, yeah. Just, oh, man.
All right, sound, music, 9s across the board. Very nice. Graphics and design. How does this game look?
Honestly, I'm gonna give it a 10, like straight up. I really like the way this looks. It's different from all the other like Legend of Zeldas. I mean, from time to time they do change the formula on their games. Like Wind Waker doesn't look like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, you know, and they've changed it even from the beginning when it was like Game Boy. Like they had to, but like it does change. And this one, I liked the character models they chose. The enemies looked great. The colors were vibrant. Yeah,
it's very colorful.
Yeah, it is.
Everything looks super fucking distinct. But it still retains like all the earthy tones that it should, given its style, where it's very focused on the overworld. This is definitely one of those games where it doesn't have like the graphical prowess of something like The Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk,
or like Doom Eternal.
But this is one of those games where art style completely carries the thing.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like gonna age as well as like Wind Waker's did, where Wind Waker, when they made the HD Wind Waker port for Wii U, all they really had to do was add bloom to it and maybe bump the textures up, but that game looked like just as good as it did on GameCube. As in it didn't age a lot. This one's close. Probably closer than Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword kind of did like a weird Monet painterly sort of thing, which looked really cool at the time. I think this one ages just a little bit better, but I'm gonna give it a 9 because there's definitely like noticeable pop in here and there, and you can definitely see some like pixelated textures on a few things. But other than that, this game looks amazing. Like this is just some of the coolest art style Zelda's had in a long time, while not looking completely dissimilar to Zelda like Wind Waker did. it's very much got like a Studio Ghibli feel to it. It very much feels like Castle in the Sky, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, Princess Mononoke. Very inspired by those types of movies, and I think it fits with Zelda super well.
Yeah. And I mean,
I
like,
want to fuck Mifa.
Yeah, I was gonna say, looking at the trailer alone, it looks really cool. It's like, it's not quite like a cell shaded kind of a thing, but it's like a weird like
yeah, but it's close.
It
hybrid.
is cell shaded, but it's not like Wind Waker where it's super cartoony. It's kind of like this nice mixture between like what the characters looked like in Twilight Princess, but if that game didn't look brown and full of shit, and trying to be super edgy and like gritty and bloomy and 2006-y. I think it's a good marriage of those two styles. I'd prefer Link to not have a football-shaped head like he does in the Wind Waker, and that's what this game does, while retaining the cel-shaded style that really is going to make this game age beautifully, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, that's a true thing for sure. I mean, that Prince of Persia game from like 2008 or whatever, the cel-shaded one,
the
that
weird
still looks
reboot.
great.
Yeah.
It doesn't age at all, you know. It's like using reverb. That just ages it instantly. Or like auto-tune. It just sounds like ass like immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one, I think it looks really good. Even now, I was watching that trailer at the beginning of this episode. I'm impressed. So,
Yep. And I mean, like, it has as a testament to like how good it is. I mean, they're still using it in the sequel. They're doing it with Breath of the Wilds too.
Yeah.
And it just looks better because they've updated a little bit because graphics wise they can do it.
Yeah.
And it's just great.
I'd still give it a 9, just considering it looks a little fuzzy here and there. There's a little pixelation here and there, but like that's literally just a fidelity thing. Other than that, the style of this game is just on point.
Nice. So the last category, guys, and arguably the most important category, especially for a game like this, it sounds like, replayability. What is the likelihood of you playing this game again? Do you want to keep playing it after you've beaten it? What's it look like?
10.
This is the easiest 10, dude.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The Switch could not have asked for a better launch title. This game will keep you going for so long. They put when the DLC came out, they put a new mode in called Hero's Path, which basically shows you like kind of like what it does in Death Stranding when you complete an order. It shows you like the path you took along the way.
Yeah.
But this one records you up to 200 hours.
Holy shit.
Of your journey. So that's just to give you an idea of like how long they expect you to play this game if you really want to go and do everything. And again, if you don't want to do everything, the game's so versatile. If you want to try and like speed run this thing and see if you can beat it in like an hour or two, you can just do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is an easy 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from all the shrines and the Korok seeds, and if you want to try to cook everything in the game, if you want to find the great fairy fountains, besides all
taking all the pictures of all the flora, fauna, weapons, and shit with the camera.
Besides that, they threw in 2 DLCs, and their DLCs are like cool. You get like a Master Sword trial. I can't remember what it's called, but there's
Trial of the Sword.
No. There's a I can't think what it's called. When you play the game, it's like the hardest way you can play it. So
Master Mode.
Master mode. The enemies regain health, so you can't like hide, like hit them and like hide. You have to just keep being relentless at it. And so you just go and it makes all the enemies harder.
Nice.
They threw a thing in with like these shrines that gets you like a motorcycle that like the Guardians would have used, which is super rad.
You
And like what it does is you
fucking the Master Cycle, which is like steampunk sort of ancient technology motorcycle. It's cool as shit.
Yeah, and so like, we had to get that too though. They make it like harder. So you only get to beat 4 shrines, but you get a weapon that is like a 1-hit kill. But it takes all your hearts down to like 1 like quarter of a heart, so you can get 1-hit killed as well.
Oh, okay.
It's sweet.
So it's like Heaven and Hell and
Yeah,
Devil May Cry.
yeah. And if you
Hell and Hell, I guess.
if you decide to like try to switch the weapon out or like do like leave like the area, it resets it, so you have to try it again.
Jeez.
And it's like you have to do this in one shot.
Did you fuck around with that?
Yeah,
Is it crazy?
it's fun.
Nice.
I didn't get the motorcycle because I was like, I really just want to beat the game. So I was trying to do it like before I beat the game, but I was like, I gave up after like 2 of the shrines. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I just want to fight Ganon.
Yeah, you were
Like,
ready.
I want to find the Hylian. Yeah, so you have to like going through and like you had to find like the Hylian shield and stuff too, and like getting to Ganon itself is like crazy because like there's so many multiple ways you can get into the castle.
Yeah, for as dog shit as like the 4 main Divine Beast dungeons are, the Hyrule Castle dungeon is so fucking good. just because there's so many different ways you can enter it and like so many things to do in it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's crazy.
There's a second DLC called the Champions Ballad, which is very story based. It gives more context to like the 4 champions and what they do. I haven't played it yet. This is the first time that I've owned it with that DLC, but that was the one they were really hyping up when they were talking about the DLC. So I assume it's good.
Yeah,
but even without the DLC, this is absolutely a fucking game you could play for hours and hours and hours and still not see everything.
Yeah, so that
it's humongous.
that Champions Ballad looks like it added a new dungeon, original story, gear, and some more challenges. And Master Cycle Zero, which was the motorcycle you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But again, it's just like the map is so big, you're not going to see everything in this thing on your first playthrough. There's just no fucking way. It's so huge. And there's just so many, like, there were talks Nintendo gave about how they made this game where they sort of came at it where, like, we want the player to see a point of interest at basically every point of the map. I think they described it where, like, they designed it all around triangles where, like, there's a hill, which is a triangle. You can either go on top of the hill and then you'll see stuff in the distance from there, or you can go around it and you'll find stuff to do going around the hill. It's like you could just waste hours in this game just looking in the distance. Oh, I want to go there. I want to go do that thing, and then go do it, and then it leads to another thing. It's like a breadcrumb trail. It's nuts.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And I like what you guys were talking about earlier when you mentioned that as opposed to like an Ubisoft game or honestly, almost every open world game, you like get a point, you get up to a high point and it shows you everything there is.
It just gives you a checklist of like, here's the stuff to do in this area.
Yeah, and in this game, it sounds like you just have to be interested in a point and go to that point, which is way cooler.
Which makes it feel more like your adventure. It's not like, well, I didn't go here because the thing said it was a side quest marker. I went here because I saw a ruined building, and it ended up having like its own little side quest in there.
Yeah.
I remember when I played this thing years ago, I saw like a big black cube off of the coast of like the top right corner of the map. And I flew to it, and it was just a big fucking labyrinth. And I just explored that for hours. It's so cool.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. That reminds me...
Even the way they present little things. When you're on the Great Plateau, the old man tells you to go to like these 4 shrines to get the 4 main runes of the game. And then when you get out of the last one, he's like, all right, I need you to go meet me. Look on your map and find like an X where the 4 shrines would intersect, and that's where I'll be. And you just have to figure that out. Granted, it's like a major landmark on that section of the map.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he just doesn't tell you, oh, go to the Temple of Time. It's like, no, you got to figure out like where the 2 lines of those 4 shrines intersect. That X marks the spot. Like, that's just cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It honestly reminds me of another game.
There's a lot of Conan parallels with this game, to be quite honest.
There kind of are, yeah, because that's what you do in the Exiles. I mean, unless you're looking up like where shit is, you just something looks cool off in the distance and you go explore it.
That's kind of the same thing here, yeah.
Yeah, the game doesn't tell you a goddamn thing to do.
Well, that's why I feel like you'd like it. And again, the Switch couldn't have asked for a better launch title. This is such a great game to play anywhere. Like, if you're going to launch a console that you can play on the TV and then just seamlessly pick it up and go play it somewhere else on the toilet or in bed, this game is so built for that. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's just so... It's the perfect launch title.
Just fucking throw it on the back, the woman's back, and just like go to town while you're just fucking playing with.
Yeah, dude. You know what?
Like,
Do some shrines while you're fucking. That's what you do, dude. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I get you.
All right, pause the
I
game.
can just
All
look
right.
at pictures of Mifa while I'm fucking my girlfriend and imagine that she's a fish lady. No, but like this game itself justifies the Switch's existence, let alone other shit that came out later, like Animal Crossing and Super Mario Odyssey and stuff like that. Like, this is such a strong contender for this game makes this console worth it.
Yeah.
I can't give this anything other than a 10. It's so good.
And like I said, man, honestly, like it jumped into my top 10, like 100%, man. It's in there.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It was worth the wait getting it.
Yeah, because they announced this thing super early. I want to say
way
like
too early.
2014, and it took a while for it to come out. They kept delaying.
You know what though? That's
But-
how it seems like Breath of the Wild's 2 is though. They announced it like last year, 2 years ago, and we still have
Dude,
nothing.
as long as it's like as long as they don't just recycle the same map from this game, and even then, I'd probably still be okay with it because the map is just that good. But
I'm sure they will, but there's going to be different landmarks. Like
I'm sure.
Shit's
Yeah,
happening.
if they're like changing it to be like different but kind of the same layout, fine. But like, take your fucking time, Nintendo. Make this thing as good as this game, because like this game feels like, you know how like they always put out like one game and it's fine, but then they put out a sequel and it blows it out of the fucking water. This game feels like that sequel that blows the first game out of the water, and it was their first try. That's the nutso part about this game.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's unlike any other Zelda game I've ever played. So,
Like, people suck Zelda and Nintendo's dick, but they did this one right, and it is worthy of the hype.
yeah. Well, that's good, because the only other person that said that was Craig, and he said it wasn't at the time. But I don't know. I think he likes the game. I just think that he has weird problems with games.
I can understand him not liking the weapon breaking thing, because that's not a part of like any other game in this franchise. I totally understand it, but
I think it's
I don't
weak.
know. That's a personal preference thing.
Man, I remember the vagina things in the first one eating your shield. And it's like, yeah, I didn't break it,
Yeah.
but it stole it from me, and now I don't
And this
have
is a game
it.
where it would actually be
Yeah,
justified
you're right.
because you have 3 more in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you took one, fuck you, bitch.
I got more. We got
Well,
shields
you took my
days.
really good metal shield.
Share
Fuck it, I have a pot lid, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can like a pot lid and shit. It's
What are
great.
you going to do now, motherfucker? Oh, I took the pot lid.
Ah, fuck.
Shit.
Well, shit.
Yeah, final thoughts on this before we get into the overall scoring.
If you haven't played this, I think you should. And I think especially if you're not really into RPGs, it's a good stepping stone. It's a very good place to start. If you're really interested in getting into them.
it's a good beginner action RPG. This is absolutely probably my game of the decade.
Wow.
Even more, I would recommend it over like Red Dead 2 or similar games. It's just fucking. It's a masterpiece. I don't know how else to say it. It's a masterpiece.
I agree. 100%. And it's just, again, it's very user-friendly.
As
get in
much
there.
hype as people gave Ocarina of Time back when that came out, this game is worthy of that same hype.
Agreed.
I think it takes the kind of level of openness that a game like Ocarina of Time had in its day and blows it up to the scale that we need in the modern times, where we have games like Grand Theft Auto and Conan and Far Cry and stuff like that. It's so amazing that they were able to do this game this good first shot.
Nice. Well, definitely pick it up then. It sounds like it's probably still, I mean, since it's Nintendo, it's at least 60.
It's still 60.
If not
It's
100.
still 60.
If you
It
get-
was on sale for a while there. They were having like a New Year's sale. I forget when I picked it up, but I picked it up basically for $60, but with the expansion pass, which comes with all the DLC.
Okay.
So I basically got the DLC for free.
If
But,
you get the hard
yeah.
copy, there's people selling it. On like
I bought this game twice. That should again. I don't play a lot of games 2 times, especially games this big, like twice. But thinking about this game made me want to play it again.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
there you go. The
That's a-
call is strong.
That's a good sign, man. That's a great sign. I really honestly probably ought to pick it up. It sounds great. I don't know what the fuck.
Knowing how much you love Conan, you probably really at least get into this a little bit, just based on the gameplay alone.
Yeah.
It's good. It's worth your time.
Agreed.
All right. So we're going to go over the scores real fast, guys, and get the Metacritic score as well. So story, 9 from Zach, 7 from A4. We have 10s across the board for the gameplay, 9s across the board for the sound and music. Graphics and design, Zach gave it a 10, A4 gave it a 9, and replayability, an easy 10 is what I was informed of, for a total of 48 out of 50 for Zach and 45 out of 50 for A4, a combined 93 out of 100, and the Metacritic score is 97 out of 100.
Wow. A4 fucked
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I again, if there wasn't a story category, this would probably be closer to your score. Again, story probably belongs in something more like Age of Calamity than anything, because it's definitely not the main focus here.
Right.
But if I had to give this game a solid number, I'd still give it a 10.
Yeah.
Out of 10. It's just fucking that good.
Before we end the episode, I want to answer Brulo's question real quick.
Oh,
He says,
people left some questions in the
obviously,
chat
this
earlier.
is the best Zelda game ever. But would you change anything about it? The only thing I would change about it, and I think A4 and me are in the same vein on this, would be an actual upgrade system to weapons and to like
A repair system.
repair system. But I'd
That's
like
like the one thing Craig complained about that we
Yeah.
agreed upon.
I'd like an upgrade system to the weapons though too, just because even if they broke after a time, it'd be cool to like customize to like your whatever you want.
Hold on, there was a couple other questions from Breath of the Wild.
There was another one from Brulo. It says, is this the direction all RPG type games should take? Everything is open from the start. You can beat the final boss basically from the start. Seems more realistic and fun.
I'm gonna say no, only because I feel like some games warrant it and some games don't.
Like
Like
it would
this
really
one, it
depend on
makes
the
sense
game.
because like for Link, you've had the training and it's just unlocking it because you've been asleep for 100 years. Whereas like other games, I feel like maybe like Tales of Berseria, like you're hunting down the dude, like Artorias, like the main like bad guy. And so as you're getting there, you're like leveling up and finding crew members to like join your party, and you're learning like you're getting higher weapons and stuff. So I feel like being able to fight him first off wouldn't be feasible in that one because he would kill you. So I think it depends on like story wise for me.
It depends on the game. This again is an RPG in elements only. It has a lot of RPG elements. It's not like you're always watching the number go up, which is half the fun of most JRPGs. Is just like
hugely big
seeing
numbers.
your characters get stronger over time and hitting that level cap, which this doesn't really have. The openness is a really cool idea. A similar game that's not an RPG that kind of does that is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, where you can just go and try to beat the quote-unquote impossible lair right at the beginning, but it's really fucking hard, and the more of like the levels you beat besides that make it easier. So like I could see an RPG taking that idea of, hey, you could just try to beat it right now. It's going to be really hard, but you could do it if you're good enough and make that work. But as for like JRPGs, I don't know. Half the fun is just making your characters stronger and just really trying to like see those numbers go up. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's those huge bigly numbers.
The idea of having an open world and letting you just go fight the final boss right away is a cool idea. But again, there's a certain level with stat-based JRPGs, there's a certain level where that just becomes a numerical impossibility.
Yeah. There's another one in there. It was about like a Kanzen fanfic or something like that. I know Kanzen doesn't have a Legend of Zelda fanfic. I'm a follower of the
Damn shame.
Kanzen.
I gotta
follower
commission
of the
that guy.
content.
Yeah. He does have one more that we haven't read that we're probably going to read on Super Sexy. But we'll talk about that later. Shit, man. Yeah, that's great. 93 out of 100 is a real good score. I like it. I don't really have anything for the Switch, honestly, like on mine, or the show's Switch that I happen to use.
If you're going to get one game, this is it. Like, there's just no other way to say it. It's just fucking, it's so content packed while also being like pick up and play. It's really, I don't know. It's just so goddamn good. I'm falling in love with this game all over again, playing it for the first time after 4 years. It's just that damn good.
Yep.
Nice. Well, shit, there it is, guys. It's going to be it for this week. Join us for next week's episode where we're going to do some questions and answers, and we're going to do some getting fat a little bit and some bring out the rants. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out for this review of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And until next time, guys, as always,
I want Urbosa to touch my master sword.
Walk with your cock held high.
live always in the nude.